There are two events which inspired me to create this, and I think we're very, very far away in terms of quality on where we'd like to go. One of them is Davos and the World Economic Forum, and you saw Matthias on stage yesterday. The other one is the TED conference. And the TED conference by Chris Anderson, who we'll have on stage in a few seconds, for me, with Davos is really so inspiring. And the difference is that it's really changing the way, I think it's participating in a big way to just change the world, which is not only to have people on stage sharing, but asking the audience to participate. And this we have not achieved with LeWeb yet, which is like take a mission, which is like non-profit, on helping the world being a better place, and just participate as a whole, as a community. I think LeWeb has a great community, but we are really scratch the surface, and I'm sure you will participate and come back, and I see people come back from year after year. So the good news is TED, I think, took 20 years to reach to that point, and same with Davos, but I'm learning so much. I'm so thankful for Chris Anderson. Chris, please welcome, please help me welcome to the stage Chris Anderson. I'm so happy you're here, Chris. Really, I'm hoping to learn and one day be at the same level of quality as TED.
Thank you, Loic. Thank you so much.
I'd like, if we can help you in anything with the room, the way you do at TED, but the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Loic. Good morning to all of you here at LeWeb, and also to those watching over the web. It's very good to be here. An amazing group you have assembled. Before we start, I just want to engage you in a quick experiment. If you look around you, you will see people engaging in a phenomenon that's been described as continuous partial attention. This is another way of saying trying to do two things at once. So you will see here a handsome gentleman doing his email while pretending to listen to me a little bit. And over here, there are people engaged in a sort of animated conversation while keeping one eye on the screen just in case. Now, there is a theory that to get the most out of a conference talk, continuous partial attention doesn't work. You never get there. You miss the key moment and lose the thread. It's just a theory, but I would like to engage you in a 5-minute experiment where, as a group, we are going to seek to engage in continuous focused attention. Now, how do we do this? It's very simple. If you have a laptop, unless you're blogging or taking notes, you close the lid. If you have an iPhone, you switch it off. If you hear someone near you conversing, you turn like this, and you give them the evil eye, like this. Okay? And then we engage together in a topic that's dear to all of us. So for 5 minutes, lend me your brain, and I promise to look after it very carefully. Okay, if we can have the first slide up. We are going to think about a subject that affects all. That's what the web is. We're wiring the planet. And my question to you is, how is it going? How is the procedure going? How do you measure that? Well, this idea, global IQ, is a way of measuring the success of what we are trying to do. Global IQ is not the average intelligence of the world's people. It is not... it's a measurement of the capability of the internet brain that we are creating. So just as an animal, you can measure its intelligence by seeing how it responds to problems that it faces, predators, survival, so forth. So this is my definition for the global brain, and I don't know if this will work. So it's, back one, yeah. It's the ability of the world to solve its problems. And if we define it this way, the question of whether global IQ is rising or falling becomes a very important question. Next slide. So on the first glance, you'll say, it's obvious global IQ is rising. I mean, we're building this giant brain. Kevin Kelly has estimated that already the global machine connects more than 170 quadrillion transistors. That's 5 orders of magnitude more than the human brain. That's a huge number. Something that big has to be smart, right? Well, unfortunately, when it comes to brains, size isn't necessarily everything. 10 years ago, my mother had a stroke, and I saw this incredible, intelligent, energetic woman tragically become something that was much less than that. Brains can go wrong. A glance at the headlines today suggests that it's not obvious that the world is getting smarter. So we're going to start on the dark side, and I want to talk quickly about 4 things that we should be worried about on the web today. So here's the first of them, and it's fairly obvious. Evil just got easier. So the tools of the web, like any other technology, empower the bad guys as much as the good guys. There are terrorists using the internet. There are fraudsters. There are financial scammers. It's scary. And there is an asymmetry about evil. As the tale of Humpty Dumpty proves, it's easier to make a mess than it is to clear it up, right? So we should be worried about this, but there is also another asymmetry, which is that many of the most important tools of the web are not available to the bad guys. The openness, the wiki, the ability of people to collaborate, they have to operate under the murky cover of darkness. So I personally don't lie awake too much worrying about this one. Here is a more subtle effect. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Christian Marjorie and her beautiful daughter, Eliza Jane. This girl, about a year after this photograph was taken, had an infection. She suffered an ear infection, a runny nose. Her mother took her to the doctors. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. It would have probably helped if her mother had mentioned that she was HIV positive. But she didn't believe that that was relevant, that HIV caused AIDS, or that she could pass that on to her daughter. She was an HIV denier, and she runs this website. Now, what's fascinating about this site is that it looks really credible. It looks like good science, and if you follow these links on here, you'll find your way to maybe 24 or 5 other sites that also look credible. There is a whole community here of people who live in a world where they gain comfort from all the power of the web, that their worldview is true. And there are lots of other communities like this out there, on the fringes of religion and politics, quack science, and so forth. And the bad news is that the web really gives these things credibility. The good news is that on the internet, the truth is only a mouse click away. And someone, maybe one of you, needs to figure out how it is to persuade people in these communities to make those clicks. Tragically, no one persuaded Dr. Marjorie to do that. 3 weeks after her child fell ill, she died of AIDS. And Dr. Marjorie is still an AIDS denier. This one scares me. Distraction. There was a controversy among economists in the 90s about why it was that with the PC revolution, with this incredible infusion of these amazing machines into the workplace, why there wasn't a bigger increase in productivity. And one theory was that maybe half of the time saved by these amazing devices was given back by people playing Microsoft Solitaire. Of course, in the world of the web, things have got much worse. We have Facebook and Dig and massive online games, virtual worlds, blogs galore, all this stuff. Here's an interesting thing. This is, of course, one of the world's great engineering projects. It took 12,000 men a couple of years to build the Empire State Building. It's been estimated 7 million hours of humanity endeavor went into that, which by a spooky coincidence is the same amount of endeavor that goes every day into watching YouTube videos. So should we worry about this distraction? Well, I think it is a worry. What if it turns out that our appetite for information is the same as our appetite for sugar and fat. You know, that we're just miswired for the age that we're in. We suddenly have all this stuff available, and we just need it. Even the good stuff is a problem. You know, 15 years ago, no one subscribed to more than 1 or 2 newspapers. Now, there are 20 of them online at the click of a button, and they're fantastic. I could happily spend 2 hours each morning going around the web and reading this stuff, and it feels so good. But it depends, where is the time being taken from? You know, it's a problem, and I hope that I predict that there's going to be a big service in releasing people from their online addiction to, you know, this massive range of irresistible distractions, and I'm ready to sign up if anyone comes up with the right solution here. Okay, so here's the thing that really scares me, and I start with a riddle. What is the thing that is in common with these 4 items here? Can anyone predict? Windows, the American legal system, credit default swaps, and glass-covered kite string. Any clues about what these have in common? I will give you a clue. So, next slide. I was brought up in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and we used to fly kites a lot. Over there, they cover the string with glass so that you can cut down the next guy's kite. It's a lot of fun, but it makes the string a little bit sticky. And I remember really well one day flying a kite with my sister, and I noticed that, you know, she had dropped the string and it got a little bit of a tangle, and she was trying sweetly to untangle it, but the tangle was getting worse, and so I stopped and helped her do it, but because I was a little bit mad, you know, we got in each other's way, and the tangle got worse and worse, and then our hands started getting cut, and the more we worked at this, the bigger the mess got, and we ended up with this big bloody mess tangle that we had to cut out and throw away, and the day was ruined. And now you get it. This is the problem: voracious, destructive entanglement. I really worry that every complex system out there is in danger of this, especially when its operation gets taken over by a clique of experts, shamans, if you like, who speak their own language, whether you call them lawyers or software coders or financial derivatives traders. They speak a language that none of the rest understand, and even for them, after a while, the tangle that they are managing becomes so great that they have lost the ability to connect cause with effect. Unintended consequences happen. Could the web end up getting so complex and so tangled that it really gets in the way of the sort of irresistible rise of technology that we all want to believe in? That is my fear. I don't know what the answers are. I think there's a big science here waiting to be developed. What I do know is that every technologist needs to obsess about this word, this next word. This word matters to all of us more than we think, and there are knock-on effects by not thinking about this. More features are not necessarily better. Okay, so let's move to the upside. There are so many things to be truly excited about. I've got 4 of them to talk to you about. I'm gonna go and stand on the stage just in case you can't see me at the back, and because I think they wanted me to. So, whoops. Okay, is that good? It was before? Okay, whatever. We rise up for the good part. So, first of all, next slide. The library that we're building, the library of human knowledge that we're giving the world by creating this brain is unbelievable. Well, how unbelievable? How do you measure the power of a library? Well, I think you take the size of the library and you multiply it by the number of people who have access to it, and then you divide that by the time it takes to access the information you want. So let's go back in history to the greatest library of antiquity, which was rumored to be the Library of Alexandria, where there were supposed to be 500,000 scrolls, and maybe 1,000 people a year had access to them. In my mind, it took each of them maybe a day to get in there and find what they wanted in that library. An awesome creation of our ancestors, and let's call that unit 1 of human knowledge potential. So that was 200 BC. If you roll the clock forward 2,000 years, just before the web, and you come to the Library of Congress, where maybe 50 terabytes of data were accessed by about 3 million people a year in one form or another. And I think, I don't know, but I think it takes a couple hours to access what you wanted in that library. That created a massive leap in human knowledge potential, 4 million times what the ancients had. But now look at today. We have 1 billion people, give or take, have access to petabytes, maybe 100 petabytes or more of data, and they can find typically what you want, I don't know, maybe a minute to look and digest. That is 3 quadrillion libraries of Alexandria that we have created, and it's, of course, growing exponentially. If we can't do something for the world with all that knowledge potential, something is badly wrong. And the good news is that we are doing something. It's a vast amount, and we are building the tools slowly to figure out how to get at it. So a lot of these tools are very familiar to you, and I'm not going to spend a while talking about them because you know them better than I do. Here are some of the more familiar ones, and I bet that some of you are building the next generation of these that will help us extract that knowledge and put it to use. But as a famous French writer said, it's not just about the knowledge. We've got to do something with it. Can the global brain help here? Well, it turns out that it can. And the notion of mass collaboration is a really thrilling and exciting thing. I think we're at the early stages of this. I just want to show you one example that we've been involved with, where we worked with our partners Cluster to create this goal to create a charter of compassion. This is envisioned as a document capable of bringing religions together. But instead of having it written, as one might have, by a few people in robes in a back room somewhere, we invited the world to write it so that this would be a document created by the world, for the world. And thousands of people have come in and have added their inspiring language to it. And out of this is going to come an amazing document with a unique credibility. So mass collaboration is exciting. I hope some of you are working on this for the next thing. So let me introduce you to a few people who I think are really special. I'm going to try this now. This is Ken Robinson, who's an education reformer. Jill Bolte-Taylor is a neuroscientist who observed her own stroke. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is a Nigerian anti-corruption reformer. Steve Pinker, the brilliant evolutionary psychologist. Carolyn Porco, the visionary space scientist. Jonathan Harris, internet artist. Majora Carter, an environmental rights campaigner. And Hans Rosling, a Swedish professor of public health. Now, what these people have in common is that they are all brilliant. And with any of them, if you were to sit down for half an hour and listen to them, they would change your view of the world. They would excite you. Until 3 years ago, very few people had the chance to do this. They just sit in one place in the world. But in the last 2 years, each of these people has had the chance to be seen by hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, millions of people around the world. How? Because in this case, they came to our conference and we recorded their talk, put it out free on the internet. They spread virally, and to our astonishment, people online responded in the same kind of way that people did live. They're looking at a few square inches of real estate on their computer screen, and they got inspired by it. Now, how amazing is this? And what does it mean for our futures? I mean, TED is just a tiny part of something much bigger, which is that the web is reinventing what it is to be a teacher. Put yourself in the shoes of a 21-year-old today who's trying to decide what they want to do with their life. 10 years ago, no one would think of becoming a teacher, I think, or at least many ambitious people wouldn't, because it doesn't pay anything, and because at most you would think, I'm going to touch the lives of 30 people a year. I want more than that. Today, it's different. The best teachers can be global rock stars. Here's the advice you can give the 21-year-old. They can become global rock stars and have their ideas reach millions, and/or teachers can become curators. They will have access to the world's great teachers. They can bring them into their classroom and share them with their kids. That is amazing. And what does that do for human potential overall? I mean, think about this. We think of the billions of people around the world, the billions of poor, as this gigantic problem. We think overpopulation, we think poverty, we think disease. What if we could change that and start seeing the human capital potential in these individuals, start seeing them as people contributing to global IQ, not subtracting from it? What would that mean? In history, the majority of people have had their potential constrained by the fact that they haven't had great teachers in their village, in their school, in their town. In the future, that will be different. Everyone who is connected will be able to access the most inspiring people on the planet. I don't think it's appreciated how big a deal that is for all of our futures. This is a group of kids who were photographed in Pakistan in the Sindh Desert earlier this week by a friend of mine. This is a few miles from where I grew up. Their parents would have been born a few years after me, unlike me, did not get an education, the chance to really do something with their lives other than grind out a life in relative poverty. For these kids, it may be different. I think in 10 years' time, each of these kids will probably have access to a cell phone, a mobile phone, that'll probably cost under $20 and be more powerful than the computer that you're not looking at right now. What will they be looking at on the screens of those cell phones? It's all to play for. I'm done. It's all to play for. Will they be looking at just games, distractions, pornography, incitations to violence, buggy technology, or will they be looking at information which they can use to drag themselves out of poverty? Will they be looking at the world's most inspiring teachers who can reveal to them their own potential? So if you are working on something that's going to boost global IQ, I salute you, because what you're doing is a gift of love to these children and to all of us. Thank you very much.
Chris, thank you. Stay here. Thank you so much, Chris. Can I have my mic, please? Can I have my mic? Hello? Thank you so much, Chris. This was, I took, your job, which is so, this is very frustrating, is to cut you as you were doing it. I have a worse job today.
I was done.
And you know what it is, right, to do these two speakers. It's terrible. You were fantastic. Thank you so much. So inspiring. I hope you come back. I hope you're having fun.
Thank you, Lord. It was great fun.
Thank you, Chris. It meant a lot to me for me to have you today with us.
Thank you.
With that, thank you, Chris Anderson. Please, a round of applause again.